Hey, y'all. So this chat is long overdue. I've been hinting at this. I've been teasing it. And if you've kept up around social on Instagram, you already know this episode is coming because I've got huge news to announce, and I would never announce it without the guy that made it all happen here in the room. So your favorite person, my favorite person, well, one of my favorite because my little girlies, but one of my favorite people's here today, and it is Alex.
I'm back.
He's back. Are you? Is that?
I was about to say I'm not your favorite person, but then girls,
I'm not.
I
Your
was about to be really
person.
offended, but I actually okay. I can accept that. I can.
You
accept
are
that.
one of my favorite people. Like I can honestly say, there's a handful of people in this world that I could spend 24 hours with, and want more, and you're one of those people. So is that like a favorite person criteria?
I mean,
oh shoot,
it's a good one. It's a
really?
good criteria.
Really? Because I wouldn't want to spend 24 hours nonstop with my kids, even though I guess we do sometimes. But
and
it's not
and
nonstop.
I'm not even your favorite person. I'm one of your favorite.
Yeah, because I really like my kids. My kids are pretty dope. You
Yeah,
know
that's true.
that.
That's
The
true.
girls are really cool. So it's just easy for me. Like my kids are my favorite. I can honestly say between you and the babies, my favorite people.
And then the internet aunties. And then
Internet aunties wouldn't want to spend 24 hours with me. Okay? Let's just keep it real. I am saving them from me. So, but I'm glad you're here today.
Yeah.
Thank you for popping in as always for our like monthly chats and all that good stuff. But we have stuff to share.
We sure do.
I feel like first we owe all the internet aunties an apology. Let's just start off with that.
We are sorry, internet aunties.
We are sorry to all of our community because we have been hinting. We have been teasing. We have been dropping. And I try to be team nothing is missing. I have been waiting to be able to tell you all of the things.
Oh, and it's funny because everyone's been guessing
They
and
know.
everyone knows.
They know. We're married.
Married.
Show your ring. If you're watching on YouTube, rings,
Fist bump.
photos, fist bump. Ah. All right, so we're married now officially.
Officially.
And it's been tough because now we're about to get real. Like if this is the chat they've been waiting for the people who love the tea, right? For the people who've been sitting here saying, but what is really going on? For the gossipers.
Oh yeah.
For the people who, you know what I mean? The ones who are like, but this is what I think is really happening. Well, this is the episode that's going to give you your confirmations.
Correct.
Right? So welcome to the tea party.
You're in for a good one.
Yes, welcome to the tea party. So first things first, we're married.
Yep.
That is the thing. We have been iffy about sharing. I'm just going to jump right in. I'm just going to keep it real.
Go ahead.
We've been iffy about sharing when we got married. You know, like that was something that we weren't going to talk about much because one, privacy. We're private people.
People have been thinking that we were married for a while now.
For years, you know?
For a while, yeah.
And on top of that, we've been keeping it to ourselves because we were waiting for my divorce to be finalized, which is something that I haven't talked about much because if anyone's followed me for a while or kept up, you know that I am like Beyonce on my stuff. I do not share my business until like a year and a half after it happens. I'm like top secret.
Right.
That's like really a thing.
Yep.
Is that weird for you?
No.
You don't mind that I'm like, because I feel like sometimes when stuff happens, like our society is very like run to social media and tell everyone right away, you know, like family, friends, the world, blah, like right. Is that
I think
weird
one
for
thing you've been really good about, and I think a lot of the people who follow you that have been really good about, is accepting the boundaries that you have set. You're good about setting them, and a lot of your people have been good about accepting those boundaries and respecting them. Some people have not been.
People are really, really kind. Some people
Some people have not been.
The people who aren't are always they're nasty about it.
Yeah.
As if they're entitled to it, which is weird.
And it's funny because, you know, even with some of my friends, they're like, well, when are you going to announce and when can blah, blah, blah,
when are you going to post? When are you going to post? And we're like,
I'm like, well, we're not going to for a little bit because all of Nicole's life is online. You have a book, you show like your life is so public that certain things deserve to stay private and just between us within the family for at least a little bit.
Let us enjoy it.
Let's enjoy it a little bit before we have to deal with outside influence or perspectives or whatever. Let's just sit in it for a little bit. So a lot of news.
Thanks for understanding that.
Yeah, so a lot of news that comes out is delayed, and I'm like fully in support of that. That's totally fine.
I think it's actually healthy.
Yeah,
like, I've been teaching our girls that.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, I need a post because whatever, like.
But I honestly think a lot of it's validation driven. I think that people's need to post things right away is validation driven. It's like it's only real and it only has happened if I'm getting other people's reactions and feedback, whether it's affirmation positively or also being equally angry with me.
Mhm.
It's like you need the masses to help you define how you feel about something. And it's just really nice to not subject myself and my family by extension to opinions and thoughts and decisions around things while I'm still trying to formulate how I feel myself.
Right. I mean, like, even just me being in the music industry, there is the concept about moving in silence.
Hmm.
You
It's
know,
not just a rap lyric, y'all.
it's not,
It's real life.
it's real life, but it's not about, oh, I did something that's notable or I did something that is, you know, braggable or whatever, and I
Mhm.
need to post it right away. It's being able to sit in that feeling and the accomplishment for myself because it's gratifying for me, and I don't need the gratification to come from like validation,
So important.
from external validation. And it's kind of the same here where it's like this thing happened behind the scenes and it feels good for my life. And I'm happy because I wanted it to happen. And I'm not happy about it because other people are happy for me or like, I get this external validation. We just get to sit in it for a bit. And then of course, then we will share the news when
Always,
we're,
all in good time. And I think that that's part of, I think, where sometimes I get offended by people insisting on us saying things on their time is because we always do share. Like I would say 80% of stuff we share, 80 to 90 even. And the stuff we don't share is usually because it's not ours to share. It might be like the girls' news or
Mhm.
something else, private or other family members.
Especially
But
when they involve other people.
yes, like we're not sharing that obviously, but like for the most part, we share. And it's just that we have to share in good time. And I feel better about it. Sometimes it's legal, where it's just not appropriate to share certain things. And sometimes it's truly because like maybe I'm trying to figure out how I feel about it. Like if it's a positive thing, if I'm working through the emotions and the entitlement of the world.
Mhm.
To know things immediately. I've noticed always seems, and I've talked about this before, so I won't go into it too much. You guys can listen to previous chats about it, but the entitlement of some people, I think, too, if you didn't share it, there must be a negative reason,
Right. The speculation
is
that
wild.
you or we will get is
It's
crazy.
wild.
I'm like, how did you get from A to B?
Woo.
Like, how did that even make sense?
Like, how are you not in the Olympics the way that you leap to these conclusions?
Right.
Okay.
And,
like,
and honestly, it's funny though, because
Mhm.
like I'll see things online all the time about other celebrities and they're like seeing an article that says A and B. So, and then people are like, well, that must mean
do you look at
C,
it
D, and E.
differently now that you've been?
100% differently.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
100% differently.
Mhm.
Just because I have the perspective of being with somebody who's a little bit more in the public light, than I have been in the past.
I mean, but you've worked in the industry for a
I've
while.
worked in the industry, but
Yeah.
I've never been connected to somebody in the limelight.
You mean they talk about you
Is
now?
I-
That's what you're saying.
Well, not just that they talk about me,
Yeah.
but the assumptions they make about you
Mhm. And you.
and me. But like
Mhm.
now when it's like some celebrity, like, I don't know, like the Brad Pitt thing or
Yeah.
an Angelina thing or like
The Johnny Depp thing, that was a thing.
Johnny Depp thing
Mhm.
or like whatever scandal's happening with any celebrity,
Mhm.
like you think you know what's going on based on reporting and whatever, but there's
You don't
so
know.
much because like you said, legal reasons,
Mhm.
personal reasons where you don't want to put other people's business on blast. They have kids.
Mhm.
And it's like there's a lot of things and factors that none of us know.
And
that-
some never will.
And some never will. So
Mhm.
all we can do is speculate. And I understand that to some degree,
Mhm.
but just know you don't know all the facts, even if you think you do.
And you never will because also you weren't in it and you weren't there.
Right.
And also frankly, that's healthy. It would be wild to live somebody else's life.
I think the other part of it is that, especially with actors, celebrities,
Mhm.
you think you know them because of characters they've played, or you think of or how you've seen them online or in movies.
Mhm.
And it's like with you, people see you online and they
Tell people the secrets. She ain't like that.
no, they think that they know you, and no, and
no,
you
go
are.
ahead. No,
and
go ahead. Look, please
they're-
expose me.
the-
Okay, expose
fraud.
me.
She's
Do
a
it.
fraud.
She's a fraud.
It's all fraud. I've been
It's
playing this long game so I can
fraudulent.
expose it this whole time.
Do it.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
No, like you very much are this person. And I have met people like on the book tour
Mhm.
who will come up to me and they'll be like, oh my God, she is exactly the same as she is online. It's so crazy. I'm like, yeah, like that really is.
Oh, because they met me for the first time.
Because they met you in
or-
person.
Yeah.
So it's like some people think or they're surprised
Mhm.
that you are who you are online,
Mhm.
but also you're not all
100%.
just
That's not
that.
all
That's
that
not
I am,
all of you.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Like
You're
I
not,
get mad, I get
you
angry,
get
I
mad,
make
you
mistakes,
get angry, you
I have
get sad.
attitude problems.
Like you're a person too. So
I
there's
have
all these other
insecurities,
sides of it.
for
Yeah, we
sure.
all have those things.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. People think you're just this, and it's like
Mhm.
there's always more.
Yeah, there's always
always more
more.
to it.
No, I appreciate the well-rounded perspective
Yeah.
on my hot messness. So
Gotta keep it real.
Gotta keep it real. That's what it is.
This is an episode of exposing
This
the
is
truths.
exposing. Maybe that's the title. Nicole exposes
Nicole
herself.
exposed.
Okay, Nicole
Clickbait.
exposed. Clickbait. Listen, that's the ticket. You could ask my producer. He's sitting right here. Like that's a good title.
That's a good title. Do that.
We gonna work
Do that.
Do that title. We try to get those clicks, guys. Visit our advertisers, support them.
Right.
Share with your friends. Click subscribe. Like all of that. We got to feed this life. These
Right.
kids. Okay. But yeah, so we're married now, and I just kind of want to not come clean, but give the fuller picture of what,
Yeah.
our dating life has been like now that we're on this other side. So we started dating while I was still going through my divorce process.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people may have been under the perspective that my divorce was like maybe quicker. And that, it was like, oh, she was in it, she was out of it, because the typical divorce is 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I will also say that
Yeah.
just because the divorce process was going on while we were playing, it's not like you left, you divorced, and then boom. Like
It was not that.
it was not that.
not
I
that
just
at
want to make it very clear.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't even think that.
You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of
Yeah.
train of thought that I think is the inclination.
Mhm.
But like you were separated.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's funny because you're right. People in that Olympic level jumping to conclusions,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So no, just in terms of time frame, I was separated. Well, first of all, for those of y'all who are listening and know I'm a Christian, the concept of divorce as a paperwork, okay, is very much an earthly thing that is a new concept, right? In Islam, you can declare I divorce you 3 times and that divorce is valid.
Mhm.
Okay. So I just want to say, in my opinion, and you guys, I am unguiltable about this. So you can try to come for me in the comments, anywhere, whatever. Unguiltable. You'd be wasting your typing. Save your fingers, right? But or do it anyways, and just look crazy, because I'm
Whatever.
telling you, it won't get to me. But my marriage was over while I was married. You know what I mean? I was separated within my marriage. There were elements of my marriage that I can say very transparently would count as a separation in a court of law. Like some of y'all still live with your partners while you are separated and going through the divorce process. I had that experience while I was still married, and then I went on to be separated. So the thing that you're talking about was I didn't even know you for a year plus after I separated. So
Right. And
I
after
went
you
through
and
the
after
healing.
you came to
And after I
like
came to
moved to a
LA,
new state, like we moved to
absolutely.
about a year and a half.
absolutely,
after that
like
point.
I was solo dolo by myself doing my healing journey,
Right.
therapy, all that.
So
like
for all
that
those,
stuff.
because there's been a lot of comments online and a lot of things
Mhm.
about like, well, she just moved to LA and
Yep.
traded up, and she thinks she's all that now because
Well, it's
she
nice
like
of you to say all
lost
that.
her
I
weight
don't
and
even-
like she's full of herself and all this stuff. It wasn't even
It was,
all
people
that.
don't even know. It wasn't
People
even
don't
all
even
that.
know.
It wasn't even all that. I absolutely moved because, one, I was super sick. And that is stuff where, you've been in my doctor's appointments with me, like there are medical things to support. Like I was going through stress related body breakdown,
Yeah.
and it took a while.
It's the very first thing in our book.
Yeah, it is. But listen, the people who talk about you in life are not interested in facts. They did not read the book. Do you
No.
know what I mean? People will literally be on some got you. Like I've heard people say things like, Nicole Walters isn't her real name. That's page 1. You could read that for free at Barnes and
For
Noble.
perspective around that and how grace-filled you were and completing that book.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know what I
well.
mean? Like when, I'm not even going to say it in its entirety, but when you say that there were stress-related things related to that, and and you talk about facial paralysis,
Mhm.
page 1 basically
It's the book. It's in the
of
book.
your memoir,
Mhm.
it's like put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, like timing wise, the math on that math, but yeah, like, so I was, before I even knew Alex, I was here in LA physically healing, seeing physical therapists, going to doctors, getting diagnoses, just making sure I don't die. Like in a real life, one of the last things I did in my marriage was get life insurance, because that was how, or last things I did before I left, Atlanta and kind of shifted over, was get life insurance, because I was so certain I was going to die. And I came over here and tried to get myself healthy while also figuring out how I was going to set up a life for my girls, because I didn't want to traumatically move them to a new city to do new things and a new life when I knew what their background was. So, it was a year of what the heck is this and what is happening? And on the other side of that, and maybe I'll do this as a separate chat, because I get a lot of questions about like, well, what was dating? How did you know you were ready? All of that. And I'll do that as a separate chat. But, I did start dating and I did all of that. And since we're going to keep it all the way real, I guess we're just going to keep it all the way, like all the way real, because this is my personal journey. It's different for everyone and people have different opinions on it. I did inform my partner that it was a formal separation. So it's not like I just did stuff like, what are we doing? I said, this is a formal separation. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, we are no longer together. This is a formal separation with an intention of divorce. I said that sentence. And just to make sure it was clear that I wasn't just leaving for kicks or on the pretense that I'm coming back.
Right.
And then after I shared that point, when I was ready to start dating, I actually shared that too. And I say this not as, your therapist or your guidance or whoever you work with might think differently. I'm just telling you what I did. That helped me have a clearer conscience, about being honest and upfront with someone who I knew I legally was still attached to. And I also never wanted my partner to be embarrassed. Like I cared and I still do. I didn't want it to be like, word got back to me that you went on a date, or anything like, just nothing gross.
Yeah, it's always worse when you find out through the grapevine that like something's going on. Just tell the person directly.
Even if
out.
Just from a moral standpoint, I was like, I just want to say it, out loud. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go on a date, and I want you to know. But that was, like at this point, I haven't been home, I haven't slept in the same bed, I haven't slept under the same roof. Like it's been so long, like, and I just want you to know. And we've I mean, at this point, we've been sharing the kids, we've been, that sort of thing. So but just hadn't formally filed. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've been working through the thoughts of divorce without formally filing and the paperwork. And then when I met Alex, and I wasn't dating heavily, but when I met Alex, I knew something was different. Not right away, but I would say within a couple months of dating. I knew something was different right away, but within a couple months of dating, I said, oh, shoot. Like, I'm like, this feels like it might be a thing,
So, I mean,
why do I feel teary about it? I'm like, I feel it's weird. I feel like a teary sort of, I feel bad about that time because it was tough. Cause like, I was so happy to meet you and I was so glad that I felt this thing that I didn't know I could feel that I thought was gone, but I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Like I was ready to be out there, but I wasn't all the way ready. I was ready, meaning like I was like, I'm still married, got these babies,
You're really tearing up.
I really am tearing up because I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I did something before I felt like I was ready.
Yeah. And I will say it's funny because we're married and
you're like, girl, we are married now.
Right. So we're married and you're talking about around the 2-month mark about feeling that thing.
Yeah.
And I did too, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is my favorite part of our story.
Is it really?
The wedding story.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I
know you love this story. I'm like, I think about this time and I'm like, oh crud, I'm falling for a guy and I haven't even filed my divorce papers and my life is a mess. And why is this thing happening out of order? And what would God say?
Right.
And like, you know what I mean?
Right,
and you're like, this is beautiful. I'm falling in love.
Right. Well, my favorite part is that like, so we knew what it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like we both felt the same thing and we're like, okay, we could see this going all the way.
The distance. Yeah.
And we're like, okay, suppose that it does.
Right.
When do you think it would happen? And
I think at that point I'd already told you, I mean, pretty early on, I think I told you like, I've got kids, I started really like spilling really quick because I was like, I wanted this to be on the up and up. I did not want any mess. I did not want any, like I told you everything because I was like, I want to go into this pure of heart.
Right.
And that you didn't run, you weren't scared.
Yeah, no, I wasn't because I already knew that I loved you and I already knew this was really, really good and all the things. And so we actually picked our wedding date.
We did.
We're like, okay, if things keep going this way and, timing, because real life, and we did our little calculation, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, bop, boop. And then, so we did our calculations and then, we came upon our date and we put it on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 2 years out from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep. I think it was a little more than 2 years at that point.
Was it? Or maybe a little bit over.
It was like two and a half years. We were like, because I mean, realistically, we were like, we should be well done with the divorce by then. You
Right,
know, like,
well done with
and
the
it'll
divorce.
give us like a year
Give us
to
a little
just
time
hang
to be
out,
like,
and
engaged
get the
and
kids
get the kids settled in.
settled.
We planned out all the things.
Isn't
And we picked-
funny?
You're right. And we picked that date, and
We did get married on that date.
we ended up getting married on that date.
Yes, we did end up getting married on that date.
And-
But let's talk about what it took to get there.
Oh, yes. It took a lot. So
So, I mean, I did tell my partner I was dating, and then I told my partner, or, I guess not my partner, but, my previous husband, since I have a new one, my previous husband at that time, that I'd gotten to the point where I wanted to introduce you to the girls, and I would say that was what, the 6-month markish, or
it's about 6 months.
yeah, like close to 6 months. And it was mostly because I knew from a personal level, you needed to see me as a mother. Like, you had to see me
Right. And I know
interact
you were
with
really worried about that I wouldn't see you as like the
Usually-
girlfriend or be attracted to you anymore.
Usually, well, and also
like,
that you just be put off because I don't play about my babies. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and I mean, you know that. You still know that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play about my babies. And when I say they're a priority, like, I have obligations, commitments, promises, and just they're things that I will always have to do for them outside of self, and anyone coming into my life, it is what it is. But I also wanted you to have a chance to meet my ex, because I was like, I just want to respect all parties involved. And that's also the respect I would like, if my ex were to, because it's worth saying also, my ex also was dating at this time. It wasn't just me.
Right,
Do you know what I mean?
right.
So we were true. When I say at this point, we're what, like a year and a half in, like it's a while, since the separation. We're both dating. We're both moving on. We are both living our lives entirely. I'm dating towards marriage. I don't know. I can't speak to how he was dating, because I cannot talk about what he was doing because it's his life. I don't know. And it's also not appropriate. Right. And I don't even have negative assumptions about it, like, anything like that. So, but he was dating plenty. I was dating, and I wanted him to meet you because I said, hey, I've been dating this person consistently, and I feel, like there's more of a connection, even if we just continue to date for a while, but I would like him to meet the kids. And so he agreed and thought that was appropriate. He knew who you were, he knew your face, like, but he didn't have a relation. He didn't talk to you, but he agreed to meet you. And unfortunately that ended up being like not the greatest meeting, I would say.
Didn't go great.
Yeah, it didn't go great. It kind of,
we didn't get along.
not at all. It was just brief. It was probably like 3 minutes, maybe.
About
If even that.
3 minutes. Was supposed to be longer, but
yeah, but it didn't play out that way,
Didn't play out that way, and then shook hands, and then
that was pretty much it, and I felt like you handled it well, and I think he did the best he could, and I will always give him the credit that he deserves, in that context. But I will say after that moment, I felt really good about going all in. Like, in terms of allowing myself, I was like, I feel like I've honored everything that I could honor, and I'll continue to fight and reconcile with God about like what is happening to me right now. But I'm going to always try to do things in a way that I think is reflective of the values, morals, and integrity that I would want my daughters to have in that same situation, and that if God were to call it out, that I'd feel good about it. So at that point, we just started saying like, hey, it's us. Everybody's aware of what's going on. You had at that point, because you met the girls, you hit it off with the girls, especially Allie, and you fully stepped in. You know what I mean? Like, you were like, hey, I think you said to me, you were like, I know I'm going to marry you. And so Allie's going to be my stepdaughter, and I'm going to show up as such.
Yeah. And I know that all three of them are, like the priority. And I even said it in my vows that we posted. I was like, I thanked all three of them, because if they didn't say yes to me, this wouldn't be happening. If any one of them said no to me, so we all.
But you had to earn that. I like it's not that it was never bumpy with the girls. But
no, it was always
pretty
good.
smooth. Yeah, it was always really good.
good.
But they were watching you. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
They don't play about their mom. You know what I
especially
mean?
Chrissy.
Especially Chrissy. And believe
Shout
it or
out
not,
Chrissy.
yeah, shout out Chrissy. We love her. It's like, especially Chrissy. That's mid tiny to y'all, but like Dea, my eldest one, she's the one you really have to watch out for, because she's the type where it's like it'll seem all smiles and she will come for you. You know what I mean? So, but Chrissy will let you know up front, I don't like you.
Right? Yeah. She'll tell you to your face, which I actually very much appreciate.
You do appreciate that.
I love it, because
she's
I feel like
that.
It's funny because it gave me such perspective on like, I feel so dated saying this, but like on like the younger generation or like whatever, because I feel like there's this thing of like, if you feel a type of way, like you can't say it all the way, or you have to be overly respectful. If you make an conversation, you can't really say whatever. I'm like, just tell me.
Just say it.
Just say the thing.
Well, and I will honestly say,
So
I feel like that was part of what made our relationship and when I say our relationship, I mean our family, like me, you, the girls, and even if by extension, my ex, I think it's part of what made the relationship what it is we were all super upfront. Like you would always say to Allie, and you still do, any relationship you want to have with your dad, I want you to know that will not change anything about what I think about you. And
Oh yeah.
you can talk to me about what you need. I'm here to support you, but like, don't ever make a decision thinking it'll hurt my feelings.
Oh yeah.
or,
I
you
keep my
know?
own personal feelings,
sure.
especially to the kid, like
Mm-hmm.
to, I don't keep everything to myself
Sure.
because certain things need to be said and put into
Mhm.
context. And,
Mhm.
that's kind of part of parenting.
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
if you see her having a tough day, you're there to help support her in the context
but
of
in,
that.
in terms of like, I'm not trying to get in the way of anyone's relationships. Like the relationship there is what
Theirs.
they
And
decided.
she's older. She's 13.
And she's
Like
older.
it's not,
You know-
you know.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get in the way of anything like that. And if anything, I want to foster that because I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's always been the goal.
yeah.
So fast forward, we're moving full steam ahead and we're building a life, you know,
and we're building a life. But
with the divorce in the background.
with the divorce in the background. And the thing that I think is funny too is that a lot of people, so in terms of the online speculation,
What did it look like from the outside?
but people, okay, so one of the things I know people thought that we were married like a while ago because they would see a post with my ring on.
Let's share. Do you want to share?
Yeah,
you
sure,
if you
of
want
course.
to.
And it's funny because we tried to be mindful about not posting with the ring
I
on.
guess we're fast, but we're still skipping.
Are we?
Yeah, because we didn't even talk about the engagement.
Oh, the engagement.
Yeah, because the ring happened after the engagement.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we're trucking along,
Uh-huh.
and everything is going pretty well.
Mhm.
And we're hitting all marks. I will say, like, our relationship, knock on wood, but it was pretty smooth. Like, it's not like we had problems, like not like problems here, but life stuff, with the divorce being in the background being a big one.
Yeah, and divorce is a big stressor.
It's super hard
on anybody.
It's just, and I think it's hard also because it does inhibit planning because you're waiting for so many things to happen. And for us in our relationship, divorce, so I'll just say it. My divorce took almost 4 years. But from the moment that I walked out the door, to the moment that the divorce was finalized, that process, so separation and divorce was almost 4 years long. And that is something I still have anger about. And I'll say that transparently because when I think of the moment that it was finalized, I look back and you hear me say this all the time. I'm like, what was the point? Like, what was the point? Like excess money, excess pain for what? What was the point of the outcome? Nobody wins in divorce. And if you think that it's that type of thing going into it, you're just going to cause yourself excess pain for no reason,
Right.
So 90% of it was financial because we were both living separate lives, like we were like dating, seeing other people, I got my kids, you know what I mean? At that point, like got everything settled here.
Mhm.
The minute things were settled in California, picked up my babies and moved everyone over, but otherwise I was there every 2 weeks, like just for extended period of time, holidays, whatever, but had my babies. We're a family. Allie's going to school. We're doing our own thing. And then we get engaged with still, again, divorce in the background, which is hard. I don't know if people can understand how difficult it is to try to see yourself in a new life.
Right. And and it's weird even for
I can't imagine.
me.
Speak to how it was for you. Like,
Yeah,
for
going in
sure.
because I knew that I wanted to move on with our life together.
No, I don't want to cry. Ugh.
Yeah. But like I knew what I wanted. I know what you
Yeah.
wanted. I knew we were in the same place, but you just had this thing looming kind of in the background.
We knew it would end someday.
Right. And I was
you
like,
know?
you know what? Like, I'm not going to put our life, like, we shouldn't put our life on hold because of this thing. Like, we're just going to keep moving forward as we would and then just deal with the things that are still looming
As
that
they
we still
come.
need to, as they come. And so I proposed and I was like, I'm not going to put this off because this is when I want to do it. And this is when I would do it,
Mhm.
And so I did.
Yeah, and I
it was a
appreciate
little,
that.
and a little, transparently, a little strange
It is,
to
yeah.
propose and be engaged to a technically married woman.
Yes, technically married woman.
And
Yep.
that part of it is
Yep.
weird.
Yep.
It's hardly conventional. Nothing about our lives or our relationship is
Nothing has been
conventional.
conventional
you
at
know?
all.
And
Yeah.
so it's very in keeping with the themes of our life. So
I feel like we really let go of, and very early on, we've let go of the way it has to be because we had to. Like we had to let go of like, what are the rules? What's normal? What do people think? It's why we end up being unguiltable because we're just kind of like,
yeah, there's certain things in life where you find yourself in certain situations. And of course, ideally, this wouldn't be the case. If it was a perfect world and everything was great and the way it was supposed to and the way you envisioned, this is not the way it would go down. But I found the woman I want to marry. We're in this situation. there is certain things in life that have a timeline, and we didn't want to push the timeline.
I mean, you put down a deposit on the house with a contingency. You basically said, look, she has to sell her previous house before I'm able to move into this one.
Right.
However, I'm buying this house. Stop showing it to the market.
And one and one thing that was hard to grapple with, especially as we, and I don't know if I'm skipping ahead to like close to to wedding day. Am I skipping?
Well, no, yeah, I want to get into your ring story.
Oh, okay.
Because
So
you brought that up. I want to say it. So the one thing, one thing I will say is what helped, I think, lead us to the point of even being able to get engaged was transparency is a huge part of our relationship. Mm-hmm. Like when I say transparency, I never want anyone in this world to be able to walk up to you and tell you something about me that you don't already know.
Right.
So even with the divorce process, I was always like, you were CC'd on emails, even if it didn't have to do with you specifically, or I would ask your thoughts about something, even if I knew you still honored my right to make the call, you know what I mean? Yeah, for me, for the children, for my finances, whatever. But at the end of the day, I just wanted you to be looped in to know this divorce is moving forward and I am putting effort in to get it closed. And I am 100% committed to you and here in this relationship. Right. This is the sale of a business, that I'm trying to close out, I can't, And
I saw the progress. I was on the emails. I went to the lawyer's offices. I was on the calls.
Correct.
Like I saw that things were moving. It's just divorce takes a while.
Right. And that was me honoring the fact that you were showing up for me in so many ways that you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So then we get engaged.
Okay. So then we get engaged and then, because I am who I am with my ADD and I'm very particular with material and feels.
And you're also a musician.
And I'm also a musician and I need things to be functional.
For your hands.
And so we thought it was we're like, okay, well, let's start looking at like rings and like, what kind of ring would you like? And I'm like, I haven't even thought about that because I was so focused on what kind of ring, engagement ring, she would like and all the different things.
But I know how you are about wedding bands, not even bands, but stuff you're not a big jewelry wearer. You're not into clunky things. Textures matter to you a lot.
So what we did was we ended up ordering about 10 different very cheap rings
on Amazon. Like $20 rings.
$20 rings, and some had squared edges, some had rounded edges, some had spinners, some had diamonds, some had like whatever. And I'm like, let me figure out what kind of thing I like. So out of the 10, I figured, I'm like, oh, okay, I like this one. It's comfortable. I think it looks nice. Whatever. Like, let me keep it on for a little bit.
Because you aren't just the type where we go into a jeweler and you just try them on quick. Because literally, I have seen you go into stores, try on shoes, think you like them in store. Like within an hour later, be like, these are so uncomfortable. I need something different, whatever, that is a real thing with you. And this is the ring you were going to wear for life.
Right. So I had to make sure I was going to like
and play music with and,
work out with and play trombone with or whatever.
It's a big deal.
So I ended up keeping it on. And the more that I kept it on, the more I started, because then I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with it. And then I went to take it off and that felt strange. And then I started kind of thinking about the whole like process of like the whole rules around the rings and historically how that's gone between man and woman.
And you came to this yourself. I think it's worth noting because I just said, "Oh, you're still wearing that ring? Are you still testing it out?" After maybe like a week or two, and then you shared that you'd been thinking about it, and you shared what you're about to say with me.
Right. So I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, why is it that the woman has to wear the engagement ring and the man doesn't have to wear anything until they're actually claimed? And then if you go back into history about, marriage, women are property, right? Like you go back, women are traded and bargained for in property, and that's kind of the way it went. So before you're even married, you're wearing this ring as kind of like a symbol of like ownership in a way. And which kind of made me feel weird that I didn't have to wear one, that I'm like, but I felt just as claimed
and committed
as she did. So I ended up just leaving the ring on because just to show like that I was also committed and also claimed, So it's not that, and people saw the pictures online about me, with me wearing the ring. And they're like, oh my God, when was the wedding? You guys got married and there was all this speculation. But no, my thought around it was just that like I was just as claimed. So I'm going to wear my ring even before the wedding, even though that's not traditional for a man to do.
Right. And that was your choice. And I was like, look, whatever you want to do, which also, candidly, it was funny because at first I was like, whatever, Alex, because because you're more of a feminist than I am at times. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, well, that's not equal. Well, that's not, like, and I'm just like, okay, you're like, you're growing me as a person. So at first I was just kind of like, I get it. That's kind, that's sweet, that's generous. Like, I appreciate that you are showing this outward, commitment. And also as a Christian, with like baptism, that's what baptism is. You can make an inward commitment to Christ and not tell anyone about it. When you make that outward commitment, you're also declaring to the world to hold you accountable and see you in this light. It's a wedding, of sorts, so it was very meaningful to me that you even wanted to do that or thought that way. But to be honest, I wouldn't have said yes to the engagement, especially because I was not trying to get married again if I didn't already know that you had that mindset. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was just like I was like, all right, whatever you want to do. But then when you didn't, like, there would be times where you would like take your ring off and like wash your hands. I'd be like, hey, why aren't you wearing your ring? You know what I mean? And I'd be like, just like that, So, we also knew that we'd swap it out for your actual wedding band. That was kind of the other special point, was that we'd get an actual wedding band when we got married.
Right,
right.
I was
really
just wearing
nice.
the cheap one and then, got married. Yeah, I got the real one.
Right, which was really nice. So, so then fast forward, we were just engaged and living life and dealing with the highs and lows that go with divorce, like filing this paperwork this day, or dealing with the tough parts about negotiating this thing this day, or, whatever. And, but also trying to plan a wedding in the background and knowing that we were aiming for a date, but is this date going to happen?
Right.
And then you were definitely like, let's go for it. Let's aim for this date and just hope that God comes through.
Right. I was like, let's go for it. And I'm sure that it will be done by the time this happens. And, we had certain contingencies and I had to kind of grapple with the reality of, well, if it's not done and we get to our wedding date, are we still having our wedding?
And that was tough. That was tough, not just for you. Like it was tough for your family. It was
my mom checking in all the time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Is it done yet? What's going on? What's the update? Always a thought,
And that was, it was weird because when we were further out from when it seemed like it would conclude, I think we both felt like, so we're waiting for it, mystery date. But as we got closer, we were like, today, this week, tomorrow, this week, because we were also getting so close, to what we were hoping would be our wedding date, But I think what was nice was we both decided a wedding is a celebration, because no one's actually married on their wedding day. No one, because the paperwork is not filed until later. You can go try to get a marriage license, but the license still isn't filed until after, which only goes to further emphasize that the concept of marriage, paperwork wise, is very earthly. You know what I mean? It's an actual commitment in front of the people you love.
Right. So I was like, okay, so bare minimum, the divorce isn't done. We still have our ceremony and we'll just
publicly commit in front of people that we love each other. We'll be
exactly.
together.
We'll publicly commit. We'll have our ceremony. It will be great. And then we'll sign the paper as soon as we can when it's done. And that thought was stressful. And that was not.
Truth moment. How'd you really feel about it?
Oh my God, I didn't want that at all.
Oh my God.
I didn't want that at all. Of course.
I knew it.
Of course I didn't.
You know what's so funny? The whole time you were like, oh no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But
because there was also a lot of stress on you.
I know,
and I wasn't trying to stress you out with yet another thing.
I love you. But I knew that I was like literally like,
of course, I don't want to see my bride walking down the aisle and realizing that technically
still not mine
in terms of the government, like still married. Like that feels weird.
Yeah.
That feels weird.
But it's weird because it didn't feel weird the whole time we were together. You know what I mean?
Right. But in that moment, like trying to have some foresight, I'm like, I think I might feel weird about that.
Yeah.
And, thank God the divorce
was done.
Very done. It was done, finalized, done by the time we got married. And the timing of it was
exactly right. Because God's timing is perfect timing.
It was
what do you always say?
Right.
Look at God.
Look at God.
And you're always saying, and timing. That's something we're always looking at each other and saying is like, timing, God's timing. Like he did it on time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. So we had our wedding and it was beautiful.
Everything was really great.
One of the best ceremonies I've ever been to. I mean, it was nice because I was part of this one.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best ceremonies I've ever been to.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was always like, oh, the party's going to be so like lit. And, like,
it's funny because you kept saying that. Like you were so worried. You were like, yeah, ceremony. Like, like it mattered to you. And you were definitely planning your vows. And we were writing our vows for like months before,
drafting and stuff.
And adding
I'm like,
lines.
My wife my soon to be wife is a New York Times bestselling author. I better write my ass off.
You did great. You're a songwriter, so it was going to be good, you know?
Right.
But it was just funny because I think that we were like, oh, let's just plan a great day. Because the day was going to be celebration of a lot of things. It was going to be celebration of this divorce being done, our families coming together. Because at that point, you know, we hadn't had much, actually, like very minimal interaction with my ex, you know, and to date, I think it's been like 2 years, you know, I haven't seen him outside of a courtroom. The kids haven't seen him at all. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I think our family coming together as a unit to like weather these times,
Mhm.
you know, our wedding really represented a celebration of sort of making it through a certain chapter, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And like all leading up to that, I was making sure to be very mindful of, you know, divorce was hard on you and our relationship and stuff, but also the effect it was having on the kids and stuff and with Allie. And
Mhm.
I was also just very mindful, you know, just trying to think about everyone's comfortability. You know, that's my thing.
Yeah, I know you
Everyone's
are.
comfortability level.
Yeah.
I like to curate spaces and I like to
Yeah.
make sure
It's like music, you know?
everyone's
like just,
comfortable and feel
Mhm.
welcomed and feels
Mhm.
good. And so,
We just wanted everyone to feel included and even though we knew it's our wedding, just really represent a union of family and like this next chapter together.
yeah.
You
And I
know?
will say the one thing that sticks out about the ceremony, leading up to it, like I was like, I was not nervous because I was getting cold feet or anything like that. It was just like the weight of the day.
It
And
felt weighty.
it felt weighty.
Yeah.
And I think I felt that weight like on my chest. And I was like,
Yeah.
I kept just like just breathing like
Mhm.
hard, you know, in my groom suite, you know,
Mhm.
leading up to the ceremony and stuff. And then I walk, you know, I walk down and I'm waiting for you. And as soon as I see you walking down the aisle and you make it up to me, no more heavy breathing, completely calm. And I was like, I knew that we had done the right thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it was like everything just kind of came together in that moment. And then the ceremony ended up actually being my favorite part of the day
It was my favorite part of the
because
day.
it was great.
Absolutely.
It was loose. It was funny.
It was lighthearted. I felt like almost like everyone in the room got it.
Yeah.
Like it felt like we all were sort of not because also just really transparently, only the people at the wedding really knew the more of this journey. Like they
Yeah,
knew
some
more
of
of
the
the
behind the scenes
timeline,
stuff.
the behind the
Mhm.
scenes stuff. So I felt like the weightiness of the moment was really deeply understood by everyone in the room because they were there to witness a culmination of so carrying so much and having all three girls there, you know, which I mean, well, obviously my babies are going to be there, like, you know, they're with me, you know, but having the girls there, having, you know, Chrissy's boyfriend there, you know, having, you know, my family there, my mom there, just these are people that I tend not to share with the internet very often. So, you know, it was just really special knowing that we were sharing that moment with people who I think got us to that moment. And I can also say, you know, having been married before, I know you haven't, you know, but having been married before, I was married at 22, you know, and making this commitment at that age, I didn't even understand what it was supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
And now doing this as a 40-year-old woman, you know, and I know you don't like when I say that 39, 39-year-old woman.
The only woman in history to round up her age.
Listen, a couple months, like, you know, but like as a 39-year-old woman, like I understood. And I gotta say, I've never felt like when I've been using this word a lot, unguiltable. You can't make me feel guilty about that moment or what it took to get to that moment or the choices I made because there was nothing like when you said you felt complete ease when you saw me come down the aisle. When I put my hand in your hand at the end of the aisle, I knew that no matter what choices I made, right, wrong, delayed, quick, correct, whatever, they were right because it led me there. And there was something very powerful about witnessing that moment with my girls. And I don't know how that could be, right? That I always felt like my girls should be at my wedding because typically people's children are not at their wedding, right?
Right, right.
But it felt like it was a very I wanted my girls to see me loved well. And that was maybe it was the sort of bookend of it all because on the front end, part of why I knew I had to leave my marriage and transition out of it was my girls were not seeing me loved well during the time that they needed to formulate their opinions around love. You know, and I don't say that as a accusation or, you know, any indictment on my partner. I say it as I didn't even know how to be loved well. You know what I mean? Like I just wasn't in a position to do so. But here I am with them watching me loved so well that I'm making this commitment through so much difficulty that they have witnessed, you know, and experienced themselves. It just felt like a bookend that said, well done, you know?
Yeah.
And you were so kind to them in the ceremony too. I mean, so many, like, I was good on tears for the most part. You know, I cried before, but I was good on tears for the most part until you had a whole section of the vows where you just literally spoke to the girls,
Mhm.
and I was a wreck. I was a wreck. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house because everyone loves them so much,
Yeah.
everyone in that room. I
Yeah.
was so
There's no
grateful.
way I couldn't address them, directly. They were just such a big part of the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I was happy to do it, and like I think it was the right thing to do, and
And we
and they
finally
deserve
shared the
that.
video, so
They
people
deserve
have
it.
seen it. So
Yeah,
people
we
can
posted the
see
video.
it.
Go check it out online if you
Yeah, if you
haven't
want to
seen
see
it.
it, People Magazine posted it. It's up, so you guys might have seen it. Come across your timelines and your feeds because we're finally kind of sharing some of those pieces. And then we had a great time at the reception. It was fun. We had music, lots of special moments. And one of the things that was really special about that moment was, as we've been sharing here, there are a lot of changes and things that we've been excited to start in our life. And getting to that start was so hard for us because the divorce really felt like a weight that was keeping us from it. And we were just so glad that we plowed through. And we were keeping a secret, not just from our family. The girls knew on that day, we
Mhm.
told them early, and a secret from all of you. So this episode is about me exposing everything. So if you don't already know, we're having a baby. We're having a baby. So at the reception, we announced to everybody, all of our family, that I'm pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be a daddy.
Yep, we did. And it was the day before Father's Day. And
was.
it was, just the right timing, and everything was great, and everyone was super happy and supportive, and
Still is.
still is.
Mhm.
And I guess next episode we'll go into
Everything you want to know.
everything you want to know about that part of things.
Yeah. So part 1, part 2, it's getting good. So internet aunties, I am so excited to take this journey with you. And thanks for being on this journey with us.